Yeah, what's up, everybody? Welcome to Wrestling Uncensored. Tonight on the show, John Cena returning to wrestle on Smackdown on December 30th. Mandy Rose release, controversy, and Vince McMahon wants back in. So much going on right now. Let's get Johnny North in here. Big Johnny is there, kind of. You're like, other side. Oh, there you go. I didn't hear anybody. And now now you can hear me. And now we can hear John. But John, you're
I'm a little bit off.
Yeah, a little wonky. Maybe we'll get that fixed. I think. Maybe. We'll see.
At some point, possibly.
We have a big show here coming up. Yeah, we're going to get Johnny's screen fixed. He's a little lopsided tonight. Mandy Rose, of course, the big release from Mandy. From the WWE releasing Mandy. Vince McMahon, the news story in the Wall Street Journal that came out this week. We can discuss that. We're watching Jon Moxley and Sammy Guevara as Johnny North gets shifted. We're trying to shift Johnny.
Cutting you out.
Shift Johnny as we speak. Hey, don't cut me out. Don't shift Johnny too much. I don't know. Maybe you have to move over, John. Can you move over?
I could try moving the camera if you want.
Yeah, I don't know.
If that works.
I think we've shifted you as much as we can. I don't know why. Hold on, we'll fix it. We'll get. I think the team is on it. The team will get it fixed.
Okay,
John.
Because now my camera's like lopsided.
All right, just leave it. We'll get it fixed. We're watching Jon Moxley and Sammy Guevara wrestle. Jon Moxley's ear is a bloody mess. It looked like his earring got ripped out. It's the opener of AEW Rampage right now. The show that was taped on Wednesday night in Dallas, Texas. So that's coming
Garland,
up.
No?
Well, Garland, isn't that like outside of Dallas?
Yeah.
Garland, Texas, technically. John wants to get technical with me. I think AEW was calling it Dallas. Sounds bigger.
Well, that's it. But, I mean, it's not exactly, but close enough.
So we got Moxley and Guevara right now wrestling on Rampage. I think the big story at the moment in professional wrestling is John Cena returning. December 30th, it will be John Cena and Kevin Owens against Roman Reigns and Sami Zayn. A match that was set up minutes ago at the end of SmackDown here on Friday night. Pretty big match. John, I know you're not the biggest John Cena fan, but you got to admit, John Cena and Kevin Owens versus Sami Zayn and Roman Reigns, it's a pretty massive match, massive main event for a December 30th SmackDown.
Well, my main problem is the execution of this, because I feel like it ruined. Wow, that was a scary Spanish fly. They got it, but they barely got it.
Yeah.
But he still got the submission on, whatever, I guess. But anyways, the execution of this whole angle, how it went down, I felt like it kind of killed the suspense of the main event. Because you knew going into it that Roman and Sammy were going to team up for that December 30th show. And the whole suspense was like always, are they going to make Sammy an honorary or an actual Uso? Is he actually going to be part of the bloodline officially now? Or are they going to turn on him, you know? They were kind of building up that drama. They had a promo with Jimmy and Jay. And then they had that promo with Roman saying, oh, we're going to do this tag match. And I killed it. I get why they killed it, but you killed all the drama then. So I felt they could have done this better at least.
I don't know about that. So we have Roman Reigns backstage with Paul Heyman and Solo Sikoa, and Jimmy Uso is there. And he wants to know what Roman has planned for tonight. And Jimmy says that he likes Sami Zayn, and he's fine if Sami is made Sammy Uso a real Uso, no longer honorary, if they officially change his name from Sami Zayn to Sammy Uso. But he also loves the family, and he understands if Roman doesn't want to make Sammy an Uso because of his past with Kevin Owens. And then Roman tells Heyman to get Adam Pearce in there, and Adam Pearce shows up, and Heyman says, okay, we're going to do a big match for you on SmackDown. Roman and Sammy will wrestle Kevin Owens and a partner of his choosing on December 30th on SmackDown in Tampa. So that is set up earlier in the night, right? But the main event is supposed to be whether or not Sammy becomes Sammy Uso or not, I guess. So I guess not was the answer tonight so far.
No,
because they got interrupted.
We got no answer.
We got no answer. We got swerved out of the answer because John Cena interrupted. So Roman Reigns comes out, does the acknowledge me thing with the bloodline in the main event. He's got all his friends there, all the family, and Sammy. And he talks about War Games because he hasn't been on the show since War Games, which is kind of crazy. Like, it's really been that long. Huh?
He's a busy guy, you know?
Yeah.
Takes his time, does what he wants. It's a good schedule.
Roman shakes hands with Solo and Jay and Jimmy, and then he stops at Sammy, and you think maybe he's going to do something mean to Sammy, but he gives him the same handshake and hug thing that he gave the rest of the guys. And Roman says tonight was going to be a good night, but they have a KO problem. So that's kind of the answer as far as whether or not Sammy's going to be Sammy Uso or not. He says, well, they were going to do it, but they have a Kevin Owens problem that they have to solve. And he says he has the solution because in the tag match against Kevin, they're going to smash him, they're going to decimate him, and we'll never see him again in the WWE after they're through with him. And Sammy agrees, and he says we're going to beat him up, and he's been dragging me down, and he betrays everyone. And I know that because I'm his only friend. And then everybody stops, and Roman's like, what do you mean you're his only friend? He doesn't say that, but he kind of gives him a look. And Sammy's like, what I meant to say was I was his only friend until I found you guys who are much better. And then John Cena interrupts on the big screen, and he says, oh, I got a text from my good friend Kevin Owens, who told me that I have had a match in the WWE every year for the past 20 years, and my streak was going to be broken unless I wrestled this match in a tag team on December 30th, which is kind of crazy. Like, Cena has wrestled a match, at least one match, every year for the past 20 years, and he's keeping that streak alive this year on the second to last day of the year on December 30th on SmackDown. I don't know why that killed the suspense, John. I thought, oh, Kevin Owens will just find a partner. It'll be like the returning Drew McIntyre or something, you know? I kind of figured they would do something normal. Then when Cena shows up on the screen, it changes the game. Elevates the match in a major way.
Well, they changed the whole focus of what this was supposed to be about.
So?
It was originally supposed to be about, well, I think that's what people cared about the most. You could tell how over Sammy is right now. He's one of the most over guys in all WWE, but they kind of sacrificed it. And to me, like,
it's
I don't
John
think that's
Cena.
What the people wanted. Yeah, there's a better way they could have done this, I think. They just couldn't think of a better way.
I like it.
And like KO and Cena are friends now, apparently. Like, that just out of nowhere. Like,
whatever.
You know, they stretch some things. Yeah, they're stretching things, but you know, I get it. They need to have Cena on the show, and this was the best idea they can come up with. I just think they could have come up with something better and not ruin like the segment that they had. Maybe have this segment early on, make the tag match off this, and then have them come out again, and then finally have the Cena thing. You can have them come out twice. They are the best part of the show.
Why not just do the backstage and then the one promo in the ring? I don't think you need to have them come out twice. It takes 10 minutes for them to come out to do the entrance. From the minute they go through the curtain to the time they get to the ring, it's like 15 minutes, man.
I'd still rather see them the most of what we see on the show, so I don't mind that, to be honest. Like,
You like watching Roman and the rest of the guys walk? You enjoy watching them walk? You'd rather watch them walk than okay.
Then that women's tag, yes.
Or hit row or whatever. Yeah. We'll talk about
You
hit
know,
row.
that's not,
Flop
we'll
dollar.
talk about it. It's not all on him though. But you know,
mostly on him. What do you guys think about John Cena and Kevin Owens versus Roman Reigns and Sami Zayn? Are you excited for that match? Are you more likely to tune in to SmackDown on December 30th because that match is taking place? And who do you think is going to win? Shout out to Danny Brook Media, a.k.a. AJ D'Alessio. Shout out AJ. Angelo Contagonis, member of the team, joined our ringsidereport.net just like Angelo did. Thank you, Angelo, for supporting. What's up, Angelo? Good to see you on a Friday night. Glad to see you're not out there in the snowstorm. Right? Yeah, Angelo usually out driving, I think, on Friday nights, out working. But now,
true, yeah.
But now I think in the snowstorm he's out, so he's watching us. Thank you, Angelo, for tuning in. Good man. Out in Laval. Alex Tarras tuning in as well. Lauren Cronish. Out in Côte St. Luc. Shout out to everybody tuning in here. We saw Jon Moxley get the win over Sammy Guevara in the opener of AEW Rampage, a bloody opener. And then we had Hangman come out, and Hangman and Moxley had a pull-apart brawl. And now FTR's cutting a promo that I'm watching, but I can't hear what they're saying, so I don't know. Shout out Ryan Katz as well, watching the regular in the chat on a Friday night here for Wrestling Uncensored. He likes a tag match, Ryan Katz. Never before seen tag team, could be interesting. Kevin Owens and John Cena. I've never seen them tag before. I don't know if we've ever seen Roman Reigns and Sami Zayn as a tag team either.
I don't believe so. Either side, but I mean, we're going to get it, and we'll see how it goes. Like, it's just going to be the typical stuff. Like, Cena can only do his usual stuff, and that's about it. So, I mean, it can only be as good as... Well, I mean, does Roman ever lose? Roman's not taking... Like, if Roman's team's losing, he's not the one taking the fall. You know that.
Right. But, I mean, is Sammy going to take the fall, or is Kevin going to take the fall? Is there a fall? Like, does somebody even lose? You know, like, it's tough because Cena's coming in. You want to keep Cena strong. It's John Cena. But then at the same time, on the other side, you got the Tribal Chief. It's a tough match to predict. It's a tough match to book as far as what do you do for the finish. Like, maybe you have...
the finish comes down to Kevin and Sammy.
Yeah, it's got to come down to Kevin and Sammy not pulling the trigger. Right?
That could go possibly, yeah, sure. Or maybe, you know, there's some sort of shenanigans because there's going to be a bunch of people at ringside, as you know, and they get the win somehow. It's one of those two ways.
Angelo thinks Sammy will take the fall. I agree. I think that's how it's going to go. I think Roman's team loses. Attitude adjustment 1, 2, 3 on Sami Zayn.
I feel Stunner's a better idea, but we'll wait and see. I mean, they might do that.
People want to see that attitude adjustment finish, you know? Cena 1, 2, 3, middle of the ring. That's what people pay to see. Paid.
But if Kevin's facing Roman at the Rumble, Kevin should get the fall.
Is he, though?
Well, who else is it going to be at this point?
Does Roman need to wrestle at the Rumble?
I mean, it's going to be a big stadium show. Yeah, he should wrestle.
Okay. I mean, I guess Kevin gets the fall, whatever. But I think Roman's team will lose. How about that?
That's fine. And gives Kevin momentum going into his big match. Makes sense.
Ryan Katz thinks Kevin and Sammy will reunite at Elimination Chamber. You think they do?
Yeah, that makes sense too. But I think the match might actually be like Roman versus Sammy. They might do that at Elimination. Because that makes a lot of sense. Or you put him in the Elimination Chamber and it's kind of like, oh, I'm going to help you, Roman. And then in the end, he's going to actually not try to help Roman.
Why would he not help
But then,
Roman?
well, he has the chance to become a champion. Roman's
Roman's
down
so
or
cool.
something, you know?
He's a tribal chief. It's better for everybody if he's the champion.
Right. But it'll be in Montreal, so people will love Sammy no matter what he does. He's the hero there.
I suppose. Well, that's the John Cena deal. That's kind of a big deal to end SmackDown. It wasn't a great SmackDown, but at least it ended off with a surprise.
I thought that Ricochet and Gunther match were like fantastic. Like it was probably the best match I saw this week.
In WWE or overall?
I think overall.
Yeah, you might be right. It was very good. Nothing on Dynamite really stood out more than this.
Right.
The Jericho match was cool, but this I think was a little bit better as far as a match. Gunther beating Ricochet with a new slam that they're trying to get over called the Last Symphony, trying to give him a slam finisher with a name. He kept saying Last Symphony on commentary. Gunther retains the Intercontinental Championship. So Ricochet wins that World Cup tournament, gets a title shot in the end, does not win the Intercontinental title from the man who took the Intercontinental title from him not too long ago. So not a huge surprise here, but a very good match. Again, Gunther and Ricochet have great matches, and Gunther on a consistent basis is having great matches with everybody. It doesn't really matter who he's in there with. Ricochet, of course, is a great wrestler in his own right, but Gunther is just on a tear right now. The matches with Sheamus that he had, everything he's doing is firing, and I think that he's going to have a hell of a match with Braun Strowman, possibly at the Royal Rumble, possibly on that December 30th SmackDown. I don't know when that's going to take place, but you know it will, because Braun Strowman ran off Imperium after the match there between Gunther and Rico.
Right.
So that's been bubbling under the surface there for a while. So Braun Strowman and Gunther, I think, is going to be a fun match because Gunther hits hard and Braun Strowman is a big old guy. That'll be good.
Yeah, it's a good match. It's not the match I'm looking forward to the most for him. Like, I think if the match happens with Brock at WrestleMania, that's a huge match. That's probably the match that's going to make him. Like, if he beats Brock at Mania, that's going to be the biggest win he'll probably ever get, unless he becomes champion. But even then, like, beating Brock at Mania, that's huge. Braun's good. I mean, it looks good to beat someone that big, but let's face it, the match with Brock, that's the one I think everyone's looking forward to.
Yeah. You think they're really going to do that?
I mean, the thing is, it feels like Brock and Bobby, no?
Yeah.
So maybe they will, maybe they won't. But I like the idea of it, and to be honest, I like it more than Brock and Bobby.
Mm-hmm.
So I hope they do it. Honestly, they should do it.
Wasn't Seth talking about...
Brock.
Sorry, what?
It's the best match for Brock when you think about it. Out of all the possibilities for Brock, that's the best match.
Mm-hmm. Wasn't Seth talking about Brock to Bobby in a promo for no reason recently?
Yeah, he was, I think, the week prior, and saying that you can't get it out of your head, and
yeah,
if you can't get that out of your head, I'll beat you just like I did last time, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So that's it. I mean, they're playing to that a lot, but again, like, you got to think about what's the best match you can get out of them. Like, is Brock and Bobby again? Is that going to be better than what they've done? I think it's just going to be on par. I don't know about you.
It could be a Rumble match, Brock and Bobby.
Yeah, or even do it at Chamber, to be honest.
Ooh. That'd be cool.
Spoil Montreal more. Montreal needs to be spoiled more.
Yeah, give me a Brock Lesnar match at the Elimination Chamber. I got my tickets, so give me that. I wouldn't mind seeing old Brock. I'm looking forward to after the Rumble, because then we're going to start figuring out what the card is for the Chamber. because I have tickets for this
Right.
show, but I don't know what I'm going to see. So I look forward to finding out. It'll be fun.
And now they got a new show added now too.
What? There's a new show?
Montreal has a new show now. Apparently, Undertaker's stand-up show on
What?
the 16th, if I'm not mistaken.
No. Are tickets
Yeah.
available now?
I think tickets will be available, I want to say, on the 20th. So Tuesday, I think. I mean, you can look up all this information, and I'm sure you're doing that right now, probably.
I'm gonna go see the dead man, and I'm gonna talk like this the whole time, and he will rest in peace.
You'll probably want to get your tickets early.
The Thursday before.
Yeah.
My God.
Want to make sure you get your tickets early, because
a limited number of VIP tickets will include premier seating and a meet and greet with the dead man. Yes.
So good luck for that.
I need that. I need that. A meet and greet. Let's see if he likes my impression.
I think you'll be impressed by how tall he is, more than likely.
I've seen him in person. I've seen him like right next to me.
Okay.
It's not so much how tall he is, it's how big his head is. That dude is the biggest head I've ever seen. And I've seen like Big Show and everybody.
Yeah, I've seen Big Show too. Like Big Show's hand is incredible.
Big Show's a huge dude. I was on the aisle for a Smackdown show way back in the day when Eddie Guerrero was on Smackdown. So, that'll tell you how long ago it was, right? I was a teenager.
2004.
Something like that.
3.
And I saw Undertaker come out. I think he had a casket match with JBL in the dark match. Something
like that, yeah. Okay.
And Undertaker just walked right by me because I'm on the aisle, right? And I just see Taker just kind of coming towards me and walking by me. And he walks real slow, so you get a real good look at him. And my God, he's a gigantic dude. Gigantic. Huge head, though. That's what I was really shocked by. Just how big his head was. He's not just tall. He's just big. Everything is big. Anyhow. The dead man's coming to Montreal for a one-man show. Are you going to go?
AJ says, I don't think I'll go to that, no.
Yeah. AJ wants to tell his Andre the Giant story in the chat. Please don't, AJ. I'll block you from the chat. Unbelievable.
What he met Andre? I wouldn't be surprised by that.
AJ's so old. He saw Andre when he was Jean Ferret.
Wrestling Verdun?
Probably.
That's pretty good.
I mean, I don't know if that's true, but I think it probably is. AJ's about 89 years old at this point. He's getting there. AJ saw Luthez.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah. He taught Luthez how to wrestle, actually. That's how old AJ is. He's been around. Started jiu-jitsu with Helio Gracie. So we had LA Knight and Bray Wyatt do a thing on SmackDown tonight. LA Knight cut a promo about Bray Wyatt and all the stuff that he's been doing to him and all the nonsense he's been talking. And says he knows it's been Bray Wyatt attacking him and calls him out. And then Bray Wyatt comes out and he says, "Oh, Chicago, I've missed you, but I'm sick of LA Knight. And LA, we both know how this story ends." And then LA starts attacking Bray Wyatt. And another one of those weird Uncle Howdy videos interrupts. And the entranceway starts to smoke. And LA looks scared. And then a guy dressed as Uncle Howdy comes out. And LA's really scared. And that was it. So Bray Wyatt.
And it went on.
Yeah, I mean, it lasted a while. I'm just giving you the finer points of this terrible segment that happened on SmackDown tonight. Bray was laughing. Uncle Howdy was laughing. A lot of fake laughter going out through the arena. It
I think Bray
was
stopped laughing though.
huh?
I think Bray stopped laughing. Like Bray was
Yeah,
laughing, and then he stopped laughing. Yeah.
Bray stopped laughing. He looked around like, what the hell is this? I think this idea has gone too far. It was terrible. Uncle Howdy, LA Knight doing this nonsense. And I guess it'll lead to a match of some sort between LA Knight and Bray Wyatt, but at this point, I don't even know what that will be like. Probably more of this stupid stuff that they keep doing. Whoa. Terrible. Terrible stuff there.
My main problem with this was that in the previous segment, we had someone come out in a hoodie, and they do like, "Oh, who was that?" kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then the next segment, we have someone come out in a mask and like, "Oh, it's Uncle Howdy, but who's he?" You know, and it's like it's the 2 segments in a row, like, "Oh, mystery person," you know, like it felt like it's just like you have no other ideas for this. Like I get it for the Uncle Howdy thing. You wanted to reveal like he's his own thing, whatever. It's not going to be Bray, it'd be somebody else, but it's still a mystery thing. And the other one, you actually revealed it, but not on television. I don't know if you caught that or not.
What?
Like they had like the women's tag match, right? It
So
was Liv and
Io Sky and Dakota Kai beat Liv Morgan and Tegan Nox when somebody in a hoodie attacked Tegan Nox behind the ref's back, and we didn't see who the mystery person was. So who was the mystery person?
if you noticed, you never got a replay, right?
Yeah.
Because I went back because I couldn't go back on my WWE network and check it. Like the hoodie came off, and you can kind of tell who it was. And I think what gives it away is the whole kick, because the kick is exactly what like Xia Li does. And then they did a segment which wasn't aired on television, but they mentioned it on commentary that Xia Li's been unmasked and she was the one who did it. And it's like you couldn't even tell us that on television. Like you couldn't show us this on television, the whole promo thing, right? Like so they just needed a distraction, whatever mystery thing that the audience never gets to find out, the live audience. So they just get that. It's a very odd way of doing things. Just mystery, like the same thing back to back like that. It was off-putting.
Well, we found out it was Xia Li, I guess. I mean, I just found out. But I don't know about...
Yeah, you just found out.
Yeah, but I don't know about the Uncle Howdy thing. I think that'll just be Uncle Howdy. Like, we won't find out it's some other wrestler playing Uncle Howdy. I think it'll just be, some extra that plays Uncle Howdy when Bray Wyatt needs to prove that he is not Uncle Howdy. I don't think it'll actually be a real character. Uncle Howdy won't start wrestling as Bray Wyatt's tag team partner. This is not a real person. It's just a extra being used in this spot to do a creepy angle where you think Uncle Howdy is just Bray Wyatt in the mask, but then here's Bray Wyatt in the ring, and there's Uncle Howdy. So it can't be Bray Wyatt, even though, I mean, in the other promos, it's clear that it is Bray Wyatt. It's his voice. It's his body behind the mask. So,
right.
But not tonight. It was clearly not Bray Wyatt there. And it was dumb. It wasn't very good. And most of SmackDown was not very good. The opening tag team match was not great. The Gunther Ricochet match was very, very good. Then we had Hit Row getting the win over Legado del Fantasma and the Viking Raiders to actually earn a tag team title shot against the Usos, I think, next week. Top Dollar tried to do a dive over the top rope onto a bunch of guys and just fell over the top rope. It was
he got caught on the rope.
Yeah, I mean, he couldn't. It didn't even look like he jumped. It didn't look like he had the ability to do that dive at all. It was like the Undertaker dive where he jumps over the top rope and he does like a front flip as he's flying. This guy didn't even come close. I don't know what he was trying to do. It was a Hall of Fame botchamania moment. I mean, everybody saw that and was like, my God. Even Michael Cole was like, oh, there's a reason why he doesn't try that too often. Because he can't do it. And then he looked kind of hurt. He could barely lift one of the Legado del Fantasma guys. I don't know their names. And then and that led to the finish. Just a garbage match.
Like it looked like his leg or something, because it looked like maybe his hip or something. He hurt his hip probably when he hit the ring apron, possibly.
Yeah.
See, people miss dives. It happens. Like my main problem was like, that screwed up, but everyone still fell.
Yeah.
Like that looked really bad. That buried everybody, right? The Viking Raiders, they're supposed to be these big tough guys, and they just freaking collapse. That was pitiful. That was like really embarrassing for WWE.
Yeah.
Like that should not happen.
A giant man falls over the top rope, and a bunch of other giant men near him fall for no apparent reason. It looked terrible. It looked terrible for everybody involved. And come on, John, you could say, well, sometimes you screw up a dive. Not that badly. I mean, he missed it by a mile. I don't know if he has the ability to hit that dive. I can't imagine he's ever pulled it off based on how badly that looked. I can't imagine he's ever actually done it successfully. It was terrible.
Well, it's actually mind-boggling because they rehearse a lot of their stuff. I mean, I'm sure they went over the match like, almost A to Z, and I'm sure they had an idea how that was going to go down. Like the fact that he probably didn't practice that enough is surprising because like how many weeks has he teased this that he's going to do this, and it gets cut off or something, and it just doesn't happen, but he finally does it and it ends up like that. I mean, you can screw up in the moment, it happens kind of thing, but it looked like, yeah, he just didn't know what he was doing, sadly. And maybe next time, have a backup plan too, because, clearly no one else knew what they were doing as well. Like, it's one fault for the dive, but then everyone else, like, they should know better too. Everyone else who fell. Like, just because the dive, screwed up doesn't mean you have to keep going with the move,
Yeah,
like,
when it misses that badly, you got to go do something else. You can't just fall down.
Like it's one fault after the other there. Like that's the real problem with it.
And the top dollar, Flop Dollar, came up looking hurt, and apparently they won the match, so they get a tag team title shot next week. We'll see if he actually makes it to the match. I don't know. Will Raquel Rodriguez make it to the match? She was attacked by Ronda Rousey and Shayna Baszler tonight. Raquel's arm has been injured. Ronda and Shayna attacked the arm. And Raquel is going to be in a gauntlet match, at least advertised for that gauntlet match, next Friday on SmackDown. It'll be Raquel, Tegan Nox, Xia Li, Sonya Deville, Liv Morgan, and Emma. And in that gauntlet match, the winner will get a shot at Ronda Rousey and the SmackDown Women's title. That will be tough to sit through. It's a long match. Gauntlet match. Look how many people are in this thing. It's a 6-woman gauntlet match.
Yeah, but you already know who's going to win, though.
Raquel Rodriguez?
There you go. Like, I mean,
Emma.
They don't need to make it that long. Well, no, it's not going to be. They've done that. They're obviously building Raquel to face Ronda, and regardless that her arm is broken, and regardless that it's ridiculous that she should be able to wrestle with a broken arm, like it's going to happen, and she'll fight through the pain and win the match and still get the title shot and lose with a broken arm, but still, she fought with a broken arm, so it's not that bad for her, but still, what's going to happen.
Yeah, I guess I do. I guess you're right about that. Not looking forward to that match at all. And I think it's the Usos versus Top Dollar and the other guy, the Hit Row next week. Is that next week or December 30th? I think it's next week, right?
I think it's next week, and we have the Miracle on 34th Street fight as well.
Yes, Braun Strowman and Ricochet versus the two Imperium guys that aren't Gunther in some sort of Christmas street fight. Because it will be the Festivus edition of SmackDown next Friday night.
There'll be a lot more complaints, for sure.
I mean, the show had its moments. We had Ricochet and Gunther, and then we had John Cena making a surprise announcement. It's just the rest of it was not very good. And the rest of it was most of it. You know? There were some parts that were good.
SmackDown?
Huh?
I'm worried they're taping. Are they taping SmackDown next week?
No.
My goodness.
Oh, wait.
Oh, no.
Yes. We're taping SmackDown right now.
So, yeah. It's going to be rough. It's going to be rough next week.
Yes.
There'll be definitely a lot of grievances I'll be airing next week. Because those taped SmackDowns going to be rough.
Yes, it will be a taped SmackDown. They are taping it now in Chicago. It's a double taping. The live SmackDown, and now they're taping the 23rd edition of SmackDown tonight. Yeah. Yep, it will be a taped SmackDown next week. Fun times in the WWE. No more fun times for Vince McMahon.
Ricochet?
What?
Sorry, just why book Ricochet in that killer match that we saw, and then you book him again in a tag team street fight thing, which is going to be an utter brawl, and stupid too because it's a Christmas fight. Oh, I'm not looking forward to next week.
It might be fun. No DQ match.
So.
Braun Strowman throwing Christmas trees at people. Might not be bad.
Again,
it'll be better than whatever the hell this is, John. You want to complain about Friday night main events? All right? I mean, that sounds better than whatever the hell AEW is presenting to us right now. Butcher, Blade, Trent Seven, and Kip Sabian versus Chuck, Trent, Orange, and Goldust in an 8-man tag. That's their main event. I mean, you complain about John Cena and Roman Reigns doing promos in the main event of SmackDown. I don't hear you complaining about this utter nonsense that somehow exists.
I wasn't even watching it, to be honest.
Well, why would you? No one's watching it, John. No one's watching this show. Terrible program, AEW Rampage.
But I get why they're doing this. It's in Texas. Dustin's the main event. Makes sense. He's really over in Texas, and everyone else is feuding with each other. So I'm not saying it's great. I understand the reasoning behind it.
I mean, come on. On a main event level, this is not it. This episode of Rampage has been garbage. The opener was cool, but everything else has been garbage.
Well, because they work Rampage backwards. You know that, though. Because they realize most people are only watching the beginning, so you really do the main event first, and then it just goes down the rest of the way.
They try to hook SmackDown viewers. They're like, hey, SmackDown's over. We have a good match. You want to come see it? And you're like, yeah, all right. And you watch it, and you're like, yeah, it's all right. And then they're like, you want to watch the rest of the show? And you don't. Because it sucks.
Really, this should have been the first match. If you think about it. Moxley and Guevara should have been the main event.
Yep. But it wasn't. And this is the main event somehow. Terrible. All right, Vince McMahon made news this week. Wall Street Journal reporting that Vince McMahon is facing 2 new legal demands from women he allegedly wronged. One, a former WWE referee, Rita Chatterton, asking for $11.75 million in damages after accusing Vince McMahon of raping her in the 80s in a limousine. And Vince has always denied the allegations.
Yeah.
But apparently she is making some demands again now to try and get money from Vince McMahon. And you can imagine that, it sounds like a lot of money, but, if somebody has raped you, that is a lot of psychological trauma. That is something that you may never get over. You probably, I can't imagine you ever get over fully. So, if he did that, he should pay and go to jail forever, probably. I don't know. That's an old story that's always kind of been there. And it's coming out again now. And then there's another story from a former spa manager in California who says that Vince McMahon assaulted her in 2011 at a resort, at a spa. And I think that story's been out there too. And she's also looking for a few $1,000,000 from Vince McMahon. So that is out there, and that's being reported by the Wall Street Journal. So Vince and his lawyers are having to deal with that currently. It's kind of an odd report from the Wall Street Journal, kind of goes all over the place. Stories that we've heard about Vince, just kind of adding to everything going on with Vince McMahon. While at the same time in this story, they say that Vince has been telling people that he, quote, intends to make a comeback at WWE, and he has said that he has received bad advice from people close to him to step down, and he now believes the allegations and investigations would have blown over had he stayed. I don't know about all that. But there is talk that Vince McMahon wants to come back, wants to resume his role as the head guy in WWE, telling everybody what to do, booking the territory, and so on. 77 years old.
Yeah.
What?
It's bigger than just a territory. It's global force.
Yeah, it's being the president of the company and doing everything and running the business, which he no longer is doing because he had to step down because of other allegations. Now, new allegations are coming out, and at the same time, Vince, defiant, apparently wants to come back to work as president and just kind of everyday operations runner of the WWE, which I don't think is going to happen. He may want that. I just don't see it. At this point, it's gone too far. There's too much. It was too much when he left, and now there's more. So, yeah. And this has nothing to do with whether or not the WWE is a better show now than it was when Vince was in charge. There's nothing to do with that. Because honestly, it's comparable. If we're being, really fair. It's basically the same. But
well, it's the talent though.
Yeah, different people, but the show quality is basically the same overall, right? But
about that.
It's just, all the things that he has allegedly done and has done and has paid people off for possibly doing. It's too much. And the more stories pop out, it's like, all right. You're 77. You've made money. You've done your thing. You're Vince McMahon. Everybody knows who you are. Just stay away at this point. It's over. But, according to this Wall Street Journal, Vince wants to come back. He doesn't think he's done. We'll see. I think he's done. John, you want to bet? What do you think? Where would you bet? Vince coming back to resume his roles as president of WWE. Would you bet yes or no that it happens again before he dies? I'm going to say no. I think he's absolutely done. And he never comes back. I'm going to say no chance in hell. That's what he's got.
Well, I just wonder what he means by coming back. Like, he's gonna run the company again, be the chairman, or come back as like he'll be on television again? Because I definitely think we could see him on television again. I'm saying it's gonna happen right away, but
Yeah, as a TV character or just to show up and be honored in some way. I could see
Hall of
that.
Fame.
Yeah, I could see
Yeah.
that, but not, to resume his role as chairman and president of WWE.
See, that's what I wonder. Like, what does he really want to do? It's just I could see, given that he's been doing, running WWE for like pretty much his whole life, like it must feel weird to just stop cold turkey like that.
Sure.
What do you do with your time now? So I understand that, but
who cares?
Given the circumstance, well, like you said, given the circumstances, like you say, like if you try to make any kind of comeback, you'd have to make baby steps in a sense. Like, go on TV, do one of his like promos that don't really make much sense.
That won't work.
And see where it goes.
Yeah, you can't do that. You can't do that. He's done, man. It's over. He's got to stay away. I'm done with Vince. He had his time, but come on. Let Triple H do it. Let's see what he can do. And
we're seeing it, and
he can't be in charge of people. He's giving people money based on whether or not they have sex with him. He's giving people contracts based on whether or not they have sex with him. You can't do that. You can't be in charge of people and do that. And then you can't have all these stories come out about you doing that kind of stuff. Rape accusation in the public eye. When a rape accusation comes out, that's not when you make a comeback. That's when you go further and further away. I don't know anybody who's been shamed out of a job, who's then accused of more things, including a rape, that then makes a triumphant comeback to that job. Never heard of that. We've seen crazy things in the world. I've been surprised before, but I would bet on the side of Vince not ever coming back again. Mandy Rose, on the other hand, I think will probably come back to WWE at some point, or will wrestle. Mandy Rose. What a story that was. So Mandy Rose has a fan site. It's not only fans, but it's some other kind of fans. And you pay...
It works like...
Yeah, it's the same type of thing.
Yeah.
You pay money to see pictures and videos, I believe, of Mandy. And they're sexy, right?
Well, you've seen them, right?
Well, I've seen them, but I think the premise is that you're seeing these things and they're sexier than what she would show normally. So possibly she's showing some mild nudity, if not nudity. Who knows, right? That's kind of the idea of these types of things. Because, I mean, let's be honest, she's showing a lot in her wrestling gear as it is. Why would you pay, why are people paying to see more? I don't really understand. There's got to be an incentive, like, I would suppose, right? Like, if she's posting pictures in bikinis constantly, you would think you're not paying money to see more pictures of her in bikinis. You would think people would be paying money to see her without the bikini. And I haven't seen much. I saw a little bit that was out there to kind of figure out why the WWE possibly released her. So the WWE, because some of this material was not of their liking, and it first got, it was leaked. So somebody who paid took some of the pictures or videos and posted them so that other people could see who had not paid. And then
Right.
WWE got wind of this, and I guess somebody in WWE saw it and was like, well, this is more than we expected that she was doing. And I saw what she was doing, and it really didn't seem like much. She's kind of topless in a pool. That was out there on Twitter. I saw that. You just Googled Mandy at the time, and that was like the top tweet that showed up. And then I saw, a couple other things, but nothing crazy. You're not seeing her do pornography. You're not seeing her genitals even. I think you might be seeing a nipple here or there. But I'm just a little bit surprised that the WWE would take this hard line with Mandy Rose, considering, they show a lot on TV, and this really wasn't so explicit, unless there's other stuff that I maybe have to pay to see that I have not seen that is more explicit and more shocking. But I am more shocked by the fact that the WWE would release her based off this stuff. Seems pretty normal.
Well, I think the main thing is the fact that, she's a WWE superstar, was a WWE superstar. She was making money, and WWE wasn't making money off this. She was making all that money. It was going to her. She was making more money doing that than her WWE contract was giving her. And she has apparently a main roster contract. So imagine the money she's making, like a lot of money.
But WWE was aware that she had this site, and that wasn't the issue.
They were aware of the site, and then the money, and then what's being offered as well. Because they know they can't offer that kind of stuff.
Right, it seemed to be the content more that they had a problem with.
Yeah. Well, and the fact that it's a bit of a loophole where she's in, like, because people in the main roster can't do what she's doing.
Why not?
But because because apparently there's some sort of thing in their contract where they can't have third-party affiliates.
They still have that deal in the main roster? They still can't do any third-party stuff.
On the main roster.
Huh.
But since she's in NXT, like, they kind of let it slide a bit. However, now it's garnered too much attention. She's making too much money. And now they're like, well, we got to take this back kind of thing.
I don't know. It seemed odd. Especially since the story wasn't, well, it's a money thing, and it's, it was like, well, we don't like the content. That was the story.
Well, I'm sure the content didn't make them, like, happy and pleased and all that, but I'm sure things would get smoothed over if, they got their own cut of it as well.
Yeah.
But they can't get a cut of that because then they'd get in trouble themselves.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's odd because they promote a lot of pretty salacious things on their television shows. You got people making out and doing all sorts of stuff on Raw.
They do, but they don't push it like crazy. Apparently, this, for whatever reason, they thought this went too far.
It's odd, though, right? It's a little bit unusual. Weren't you a little surprised that this was the thing that made them fire Mandy Rose? She was the NXT champion for so long. She drops the belt the next day. It's like, oh, and she's released.
Well, I'm not really that surprised in the sense that they love control. And if they can't control you, then they're going to get upset about it. And we know this about WWE contracts. Whether, you like it or not, they can release you at any time. They've done it before to other people, the Good Brothers. They're like, oh, we don't like this contract anymore, gone. Oh, Mandy, we have a problem with this. Like it or not, you're gone. This is what happens. They can do that.
Yeah. I suppose, but it's a new one, right? It's a new one. You haven't heard that one before. Somebody with a fan site doing content that they deem too explicit, so they release her over that. Like, it's new. We've seen other wrestlers explicit images and videos, whatever, come out while they were under contract, but that was leaked out. Wasn't stuff they're putting out on purpose.
Yeah, those were
Mandy's putting out on
accidents.
purpose.
Right, and she's making money.
Yeah, it's for profit.
That's the main. So.
Yeah. But so what? I mean, if she's allowed to do it, she should be allowed to do it. That's how I feel. Like, if she is allowed to have this third-party site, she should be allowed to do whatever she wants on it, as long as she doesn't have some sort of morality clause in her contract with the WWE. And I understand that WWE could fire you for whatever reason whenever they want, but if the reason is we don't like the content that you're doing, we think it's over the line, and the line is a nipple, I mean, that's a little rich. I don't know about that. I'm not buying that. That's not great. That's not a good look for WWE.
Another thing, too, like, we're not in 97 anymore, It's not the same WWE that it used to be. They're more garnered towards children. And they don't want children seeing stuff like that.
When Ember Moon was fired, she said, right, she's like, they told all the women to dress more sexy like Mandy. I mean, they're promoting sexiness. They're promoting Mandy. I mean, the whole Mandy gimmick was about sexiness. Toxic Attraction was the name of her group. Like, that's what her whole thing was about. They can't go and promote Mandy as this sexy person and then get mad when she does sexy things and makes sexy money.
Well, again, it goes back to control. Like, they couldn't control it. They have their belief of what's the limit. And they just felt she crossed the line. So, it was either you get with the program or you're gone. She clearly, given the fact that she's making more money, doing this in WWE, I understand why she left.
Typical WWE wanting to control every single aspect of their performers' bodies while calling them independent contractors.
Yeah, they should really rework the wording of that. It doesn't really make a lot of sense, but
no.
What we have.
Yeah, I mean, you're kind of saying, well, WWE is a scorpion, so don't get mad when the scorpion bites you. I'm saying the scorpion's kind of an asshole, though. Maybe WWE shouldn't be a scorpion. Maybe WWE should be something else, a nicer animal, not like a bear because they're not cuddly, but like a puppy. Maybe a puppy.
It's a kill or be killed business. That's the way they kind of look at it. So, and look, Mandy had an amazing title reign, like over 400 days as champion. It's not like they weren't behind her whatsoever, but they have their beliefs of what things should be, and they weren't happy with the way things were going. So, doesn't matter how long you're champion. Like, if you don't get with the program, you're gone.
And you seem to applaud this behavior.
I'm not applauding the behavior. I understand it.
Yeah.
Like, it's not like, they make exceptions to the rules kind of thing. Like, if anything, like, Mandy was lucky that she got this because, like, she was main roster, but she wasn't really. So she kind of was lucky to get this. It's just they made too much noise, sadly.
Well, according to the Wrestling Observer, she was making more money off this fan site than she was off her WWE contract. So,
right,
pretty good. Yeah. And for a while there, she was making both. So both salaries, both monies there. The income must have been pretty good for Mandy. So even though she is released by the WWE, she still has the fan site that is obviously very lucrative, and she's probably got some money in the bank. No pun intended there.
And it's not like she couldn't find another wrestling job. There's more out there. So
yeah,
I get it.
I think AEW would be smart to bring her in.
AEW, Impact, I'm sure a lot of different feds.
Yeah. If she wants to do that. Or she could just go the fan site route and just do that. That's what the Iconics did, right? They just quit wrestling and they're like, we're just going to be a brand. They could have kept wrestling.
I think one of them got pregnant. So
one of them's pregnant, but they seemed to quit wrestling before that.
Well, I think because one of them wanted to get pregnant, so.
Yeah, maybe that's it. I don't know. But they've got like a makeup line, and they've got one of those fan sites where, I mean, who knows what's going on there. I think we need to start subscribing to these fan sites so we, find out what's really going on. Is that Ty Dillinger doing sex with Peyton Royce on the fan site? What is this AEW talent doing? I mean, what's happening here? What is going on behind these fan sites? I've never thought to pay for one of these lady wrestlers' fan sites to find out, what their nipples look like or whatever, but maybe we should for the show so we know what's going on. Hit us up on Super Chat so we can subscribe to one of these fan sites and John could look at wrestler nipples. I feel like we already see enough wrestler nipples with the men. I'm all right.
Yeah, I think we can use the funds for something better, I think.
Something else, yeah. Maybe not subscribing to a Billy Kay of the Iconics fan site. Paige Van Zandt, who kind of wrestled for AEW, I mean, that's all she does, right? Post pictures of herself semi-nude or fully nude. I don't even know. Maybe she's doing full-on porn at this point. I have no clue. It's possible. I figure that's what it goes to at some point, right? You just kind of keep rolling down that hill until, you're posting pictures of yourself in a bikini, and maybe the top comes off, and maybe you're showing your everythings, and then maybe all of a sudden you're doing full-on pornography. I assume that's a trajectory. It's like a gateway drug type of thing. I don't really know. John, you're more familiar with this world. You're one of the top adult performers in the world, no? Isn't that you?
That's news to me. I don't know if some sort of fantasy you're thinking of.
No. AJ told me that. AJ told me that about you.
Right.
Was he lying?
The feeds, right?
AJ says he got that information from one of his wrestling feeds from overseas.
Right, yeah. Well, I think AJ's gone to bed, so he's not seeing that, so.
Good.
He's unaware of this.
Yeah, I don't know. But, it's a thing, man. It's a thing. People are taking pictures and videos of themselves in all sorts of compromising positions and making huge money from it. I'm not. You're not.
Making money.
But ladies are. Some ladies are. And I assume some dudes are too.
And good for them. If they can, that's good. In WWE, it's a little tougher to do that, but as you see with other places, you can. So, make the money you can. Why you can, too.
I heard Kevin Owens has one of those fan sites. He's fully nude. Shocking.
Yeah, I don't think that's true, but
no, imagine.
Again, you guys have some weird.
Imagine you find out one of these like WWE wrestlers, like, yeah, did you know that Ridge Holland has one of these OnlyFans sites and he's like fully naked on it? You see Ridge Holland's dick? He's like taking pictures of his dick every day and posting them. I mean, it's possible. You never know, right? Like,
I'm fine not knowing. It's okay.
Well, I'd rather not know. I mean, I didn't know about this Mandy Rose thing until just recently, right? But
yeah, me too, yeah.
You never know what the future holds, right? You never know. Crazy. So Mandy Rose got released. Alexa Bliss is the #1 contender for Bianca Belair's Raw Women's title. She won that in a match What the hell? What the?
Oh, because you said
Bliss.
You said Alexa Bliss.
Scared the shit out of me.
You got to turn that off, man.
I got to turn that off. I don't know how. Jeez.
There should be a plug somewhere.
Yeah. So Bliss beat Bayley with a Twisted Bliss and a little bit of interference from Bianca Belair on Raw. I don't understand. Bayley goes to punch Bliss outside the ring. Bliss ducks. Yeah. Bianca catches Bayley's punch, holds her wrist, making contact. Referee sees it, no disqualification. Match continues. Bliss beats Bayley and becomes the number 1 contender. The hell was that?
Well, I guess it's because Bianca didn't actually throw an offensive strike. Because Bayley threw a punch to hit Bianca, right? And Bianca just held it. Didn't actually throw anything offensive. So I guess that's why. I mean, again, that's a gray line right there. Still someone interfering, like you said. To me, the thing that threw it off was the fact that Bayley exposed the ring post, and like threw away the padding, and then Bianca had the padding, showed the ref, and the ref complained about it, but didn't do anything to fix it or anything. Just let it be. And that's what actually led to Bayley's downfall, because she got pushed into the exposed ring post, and then Bliss hit the Twisted Bliss.
Yeah.
Before almost falling. Because I think they knocked heads or whatever on a Hurricane Rana, and they seemed kind of loopy after that.
It wasn't great. Great.
Great. To be honest, I was worried about this match because this is one of the worst matches I've ever seen when they had the Singapore Kane match or Dueling Kane's match on pay-per-view a couple years ago. One of the worst matches. I complained to you so much about that match. This match was all right. I mean, obviously that Hurricane Rana went off, but besides that, I thought the match was fine. Again, the exposed ring padding, like that, I didn't like that stuff. But again, the refs are kind of useless almost. They're just there to, count 1, 2, 3 and point at people at times, but then sometimes not. So it's weird.
And Bliss faced off with Bianca after the match and teased the sister Abigail, then acted like, oh, I don't know what came over me. Some sort of demon possessed me.
Well, because the Bray Wyatt symbol came on the screen.
Did he?
Yeah. When they were about to go in for the hug, the Bray Wyatt symbol showed up, and it looked like she was in some sort of trance.
Uh-huh.
Like, I get it for the story. I'm not a fan of it, but I get the story, though.
What's the story?
Is that she was in a trance. Like, she didn't mean to do that, but because the symbol showed up, she was the other Alexa Bliss.
Cool. When's the match? Bliss and Bianca.
It's a good question. Did they say it was next week? I'm not sure. I don't think so.
No.
Yeah, I guess we'll wait and see.
No
I could see it not being Monday, but maybe the Monday after. Because it'll be I believe, Boxing Day Raw.
Yeah.
Which is that maybe a tape draw as well?
On the 26th, possibly a tape draw. I don't know. I'll let you know. Yeah, Raw was not great this week. I don't know anything that was good at all. I mean, Gable, AJ Styles beat Chad Gable. It was all right. What did you like?
I liked KO and Elias's promo. A little goofy, but
good.
Still entertaining.
Yeah, Kevin Owens did a good promo with Elias. Elias had a match with Solo Sikoa, and he wanted Kevin Owens to be in his corner. And Kevin Owens is like, come on, you think I forget all the stuff you put me through with Ezekiel and all that stuff? I haven't forgotten about you. And Elias is like, that was my brother. And Kevin's like, it's not your brother. I'm not your friend. Get out of here. And then Elias did like a Matt Riddle tribute concert, like Matt Riddle's dead. Matt Riddle is injured in WWE, but actually in rehab, right?
Well, that's one story. And then another story is that he's going through his divorce. And that's why he needed the time off.
Huh. Well, there was a story I saw that he was in rehab for something. I don't know what's going on with Matt Riddle. Mystery.
Yeah, I'm not sure either, but WWE hasn't commented on it. They haven't denied anything, but they aren't talking about it. Now, there is the story that this is his second violation of the wellness, because remember when he was supposed to face Rollins at SummerSlam and it got pushed back?
Yeah.
Apparently that was the first one. Now this is the second one. And
not sure
this violation wasn't.
Not sure what the violation
marijuana.
is for. No, it's not weed. I don't think they bust you for weed. I think you're allowed.
Right.
So, something else.
Something else. Yeah.
Something else going on there with Riddle. Judgment Day beat the Street Profits and Akira Tozawa. Johnny Gargano, Dexter Lumis, and The Miz did a promo setting up Dexter Lumis versus The Miz in a ladder match for money next week on Raw.
There was one part of this segment I liked.
What? You like some of this?
There was one part where they told The Miz, like, they wanted to do the ladder match, right? For the 2 bags of money. And Miz is like, what other bag? And it's like, well, it's going to be Dexter's money and also your money. And then Miz was like, I only get my money from my wife. I get an allowance.
Yeah.
I thought that was actually kind of funny. And then I started thinking about the whole Punk Cabana thing. And I'm like, it's kind of interesting how wrestling we're just kind of playing into this whole thing.
I didn't make that connection at all. I just saw that as, Maurice is in charge of their finances and she controls the bank accounts and she gives him an allowance, which didn't sound like untrue. Like, I could believe that. It was very believable.
Right.
Right,
it's very believable.
Yeah. Maurice seems like the type to be like, no, you're going to get an allowance. You don't get to control the money. Even though he's out there wrestling for it, she's controlling the money. I could see that. Makes sense to me. Io Sky beat Candice LeRae in a clunker of a match. Huh?
He got good heat, The Miz, for that, I thought. Like, everything else was, like, kind of stupid, but that part was like, there's some good writing there.
It wasn't good. Io Sky beat Candice LeRae, also not good.
Well, Candice just isn't over, is the problem. Like, they haven't really established her enough that people can care about her. So, like, she can have an okay match, but no one can get into it because they haven't really got to know who she is. She's Gargano's wife. That's about all we know. And she, for whatever reason, she's some sort of pixie broken something. I don't know what. Oh, yeah, she's a kid too, by the way. So congrats for that.
Great.
Yeah.
So do I. I have 2. Big deal. Candice LeRae.
That's true.
Rhea Ripley beat Asuka. It was okay. Asuka spit blue mist in Dominic Mysterio's face. Dominic was blinded. Yeah. And Seth Rollins beat Bobby Lashley in the main event. And then Bobby got mad at the referee. What?
You skipped the longest part of the show, and this is what I almost fell asleep during Raw because of this. You missed the it was Judgment Day against the Street Profits
and Akira Tozawa. No, I mentioned it. I just don't want to talk about it for too long because it was terrible.
Oh my goodness, it wouldn't end. It just kept going.
A lot of these matches felt like they wouldn't end. Raw is 3 hours, and they just pack it with these long matches that go nowhere and have wonky finishes, like, some sort of interference or cheating finish. So you don't really have a resolution. You just have a lot of, mediocre wrestling for a while. Raw was awful. Their idea to fill time is just to have them wrestle. And then when it comes to a finish, they're just like, let's just do a screwy finish where nobody actually looks bad. Like, even in the Judgment Day match against Tozawa and the Street Profits, where you have Akira Tozawa, who's a total jobber in WWE, somehow he's in a real match here on Raw. The only way that you pinned Tozawa was for Damian Priest to hit the razor's edge from the apron behind the ref's back when Priest was the illegal man, which allowed Dominic Mysterio to get the pin. Like, even Tozawa, they had to cheat to beat. They couldn't actually beat him clean because you want to keep Tozawa strong for no reason in particular. Every match they have, you have some sort of screwy finish with interference. Bayley loses to Alexa Bliss because Bianca Belair was there. AJ Styles actually beat Chad Gable clean. That did happen.
Yep.
But then the Judgment Day match with Street Profits, which was long and boring and stupid, had a bad finish. Io Sky beat Candice LeRae, I think with interference, right? I don't think that was a clean finish.
There was something on the outside that happened. I'm trying to remember exactly.
Solo Sikoa beat Elias.
Bayley did something.
Yeah,
Bailey, I
Bailey.
think, pulled a leg or something. Yeah.
Solo Sikoa beat Elias with Sami Zayn distracting. Ripley beat Asuka with Dominic Mysterio distracting. And then Seth Rollins beat Bobby Lashley, I think actually clean in the main event. Although by
It
that
was a
point
weird
I was
finish, though.
barely paying attention.
Like, I guess he hit the pedigree,
Yeah.
but to me, it looked like he just jumped up and
Yeah.
Bobby just fell down. Like, it didn't look good, to be honest.
No. And Bobby was mad at the ref for some reason afterwards. And then he wound up elbowing a ref. And then Adam Pearce showed up and he was really mad. And then Bobby pushed him. And then Adam Pearce fired Bobby. And that was their big shocking finish to Raw. Bobby Lashley fired by Adam Pearce. Which is not a shocking conclusion to Raw. It's just a new angle that they're doing that is lame. Lame.
I feel like we've been here before. Like, they didn't fire Ronda, but they suspended Ronda, right? And they did this whole thing about her getting off suspension. So I
Yeah.
guess Bobby's going to do this whole thing to get his job back, kind of thing. Now, I guess feels very similar.
Bailey and Becky Lynch apparently going to wrestle on Raw on Monday, which is kind of cool. Bailey versus Becky.
That sounds pretty good. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I hope, anyways.
And
hopefully Bailey's okay.
Yeah. Tribute to the Troops is tomorrow afternoon. You going to watch it?
What are the matches?
I have no idea. Who cares?
Well, I mean, if there are some good matches, I mean, I wouldn't mind. Like who's actually wrestling on this show? That's the other thing. Like, what's the roster? Like
Don't know.
The Bloodline's there. I wouldn't mind, but I have my doubts on that one. I'm guessing this isn't a live thing. It's just some sort of thing they taped probably maybe even weeks ago at some sort of camp or whatever.
Yeah. Braun Strowman versus LA Knight. Ronda Rousey and Shayna against Emma and Tamina. And Drew McIntyre, Sheamus, and Ricochet against Imperium.
The main event seems okay.
Yeah.
That's about it.
So that's
I guess this was before Drew got hurt, I guess.
Yeah, they taped it in November.
This is how Drew got hurt. Yeah, this is probably how Drew got hurt.
Maybe. Well, that's tomorrow afternoon on Fox. Over in AEW World, which, by the way, thank you, Johnny North, for this sweet new AEW Hanukkah sweater.
It looks pretty good. It's the MJF one. Brand new Christmas sweater. Looks pretty good.
That's not Christmas. That's a Hanukkah sweater. Why do you say Christmas?
Right, Hanukkah. Sorry.
Come on. Hanukkah. Happy Hanukkah, MJF. A Jewish icon. MJF. Big Hanukkah celebrations coming up Sunday night. I know he's going to be lighting his menorah, spinning the dreidel, eating the gelt. Maybe not too much gelt. He's got to stay svelte. He's on TV without a shirt, you know? He's got to stay in shape. He was on TV without a shirt this Wednesday, beating Ricky Starks after a low blow behind the ref's back. MJF, the dastardly champion, defending the AEW championship for the first time. Match was all right. Pretty good.
Yeah, it was solid. It's just, the main thing, we knew Starks wasn't going to win this match. So, yeah. I mean, there wasn't a lot of suspense and drama to it. But, I mean, Starks had a good match, had a good showing. I told you this before. I loved MJF, threatening to hit a kid and the kid, like, turtling. Thought that's always great heat. Like, we need to see more of that in wrestling.
You're such a heel. True to your core.
Well, it's just stuff like that people actually don't want to see in wrestling. I know you definitely don't want to see that ever in wrestling ever again. But
what, hitting a kid?
I just threatening to hit a kid, not actually hitting a kid. Just that little backhanded like threat,
Yeah, I don't think you should do that necessarily. I mean, if somebody did that to my kid, if a wrestler did that to my kid, I'm jumping the barricade. You know. So
Even
I
if it
hope
was
that doesn't
MJF,
happen
the
to
guy
me.
you're wearing MJF sweater, like, and he threatened to do that to a kid. Like, come on, like, sometimes it's necessary in some situations, and I wouldn't be surprised if that was a plan.
Yeah. I like how he grabbed the popcorn from somebody and just kind of threw it at them. Grabbed somebody's popcorn, threw it at them. Grabbed the guy's hat in the crowd, threw it, just whipped it 10 rows back. MJF's going wild in there.
Yeah, that can get crazy. Thankfully, it didn't get crazy, but he did that, and I'm like, wow, that's interesting. Like, some people get mad when you do stuff like that, so, and you're right in there, like, there's not a lot of security there to help you, so, yeah, he's got balls.
He's got balls. Like, he'll go anywhere, anytime, and be MJF. He doesn't quit. He's 24/7 MJF. I hope he's not 24/7 MJF, but he seems like he is. Could be tedious for the people around him. Might be a little annoying, but if he's like that all the time, I think people will get kind of irritated. But he's like that a lot. Anytime he's in public, he's definitely like that. That's for sure. I hope his fiance gets a slightly different side of him, because
no, not at all. Not.
She says that she doesn't, but I think that's part of the gimmick. When she's doing interviews, kayfabe.
Yeah, but still, like, no one ever likes being told, like, you make a crappy sandwich, like, kayfabe or not. Like, I don't think anyone likes to hear that kind of stuff.
I think it's a joke.
I definitely think it's a joke too, but still.
Yeah.
Kind of mean.
MJF beating Ricky Starks in the main event, and then starts to leave, but gets chased away and has to run through the crowd because Bryan Danielson shows up and points at MJF. So it looks like Danielson versus MJF is coming up next. Do they do it on Dynamite, or do they push it all the way to the pay-per-view? I think is the big question.
I mean, there's going to be another big show, right? I feel like, they have the holiday, whatever, like the first show of the year. There's usually a special, right? And I don't know if it's the Jericho Cruise, or there's always something like end of January, February. There's something, right?
Mm-hmm.
I want to say it was like a WCW kind of old name they used to use, but I don't know if they can even use that anymore, possibly. So there's definitely going to be a big show, but maybe do a tag. Like, honestly, to me, that's the pay-per-view match. I mean, what else do you have for MJF, really, in terms of, like, pay-per-view opponents?
Yeah, I think Bryan has to be the pay-per-view match. I agree. I think you can push it. You can build it. But yeah, I think you do it at the pay-per-view in February. It's February,
I don't think Bryan's. Right? It's actually March 5th or something like that, but I mean,
which one is it?
I believe it's Revolution.
Right.
But Bryan's not even, I believe, in top 5 right now in the rankings, so he's got to work his way up to get the title shot.
Yeah, but I mean, the story's there. It doesn't really matter. Does he have to work his way up, or can't they just give him the match?
No, he's going to have to work his way up a bit, I think. And that's part of the story, is that he's going to have to earn that shot.
Yeah. Well, there you go. That's a way to fill 3 months. I don't know. It's a lot.
I would say a month. But,
yeah,
it helps.
Well, we knew that MJF was going to beat Ricky Starks in the main event, but we did see some surprising finishes on Dynamite this week. Death Triangle beating the Elite to go up 3-1 in their best-of-7 series. Nick Jackson injuring his ankle during the match, went backstage even to get medical attention, came back to the match later on, but took a hammer shot from Pentagon, and then Rey Fenix putting an ankle lock on Nick, forcing the tap out to put the Death Triangle up 3-1. Kenny got on the mic after the match and wants the hammer to be legal in the next one, a no DQ match next time, and I think it'll be on Dynamite next week, where it'll be Death Triangle against the Elite once again. I think it's next week, although I'm not sure.
Could be right. I don't remember either.
Yeah, I don't know
what the dates were exactly.
But it's going to be no DQ. And I was surprised, Death Triangle up 2-1 in the series. You figure the Elite ties it up 2-2. But they did not. They went down 3-1. Kind of a surprise finish there.
But the stipulations are not a surprise. Because I remember suggesting that they have to add stipulations to keep this interesting. And they have done it for the rest of the way through, because that's what they definitely needed. Because it was starting to get a little bit repetitive. Like, the matches were fine, but to spice it up a bit, you needed to add some sort of stipulation. I feel no DQ doesn't really change too much, but at least something in the sense where, you don't have to really worry about tags too much. I mean, there might be some tags just for the legal person, but for the most part, it'll be even more chaos, which is fine. And weapons, obviously, they really push over weapons next match.
And you figure the Elite win that one, right? Because
they have to win all the way up to the 7, right?
Yeah. So 3 more matches. They'll win the next 2, and then we'll see what happens in the 7th. Bit of a surprise. The match was all right, too. The opener.
It was for an opener of the show. It was all right. Again, not the best match they had. Maybe it was better than the 3rd match, but I think the first 2 matches are still better than this was.
What was your favorite match on Dynamite this week? I think mine was Jungle Boy and Brian Cage. Well,
it was pretty good.
Maybe the Jericho match. Probably the Jericho match, though, right? That was pretty good.
Well, just because that got the biggest reaction in terms of, it was a solid match. It was fine. But in terms of the result, it's like, wow. Didn't really see that one coming, and it's like, it's a good story. So in terms of everything that we saw, it was really the best thing, I think, in terms of match that we saw on Dynamite this week.
Yeah, I think that was my favorite. Action Andretti was the jobber. Looked like a jobber. Jericho just beating him up.
Jobber.
Beating him up. What?
They chanted jobber.
Yeah, they chanted jobber at him. Jericho was beating him up, and it looked like he was just kind of extending it. But the guy kept kicking out. He wouldn't give up, and somehow, some way, he pinned Jericho. And it was shocking, because everybody thought he was some no-name guy. Jericho lost the Ring of Honor title to Claudio Castagnoli on the weekend. This was Jericho coming back, getting a comeback match, beating a jobber, getting a win.
Yep.
And it didn't happen. He lost to Action Andretti, who's now in AEW. And I expect him to have a rematch, and I expect Jericho to beat him. I think this was just a good way to introduce Action Andretti to AEW, but a pretty good way to do it. And it really added a lot to the Dynamite show that we saw on Wednesday. And Jericho went in there and had the crowd on their feet against a guy that was completely unknown. Another masterful performance by the Ocho Chris Jericho. Solid stuff. And a shocking surprise. And you need that once in a while. I really did not see it coming. I don't think anybody saw it coming. Crowd went nuts. Couldn't believe it when I saw it on TV. Great stuff.
To me, you just saw how intelligent Chris Jericho is in terms of working in and out of the ring. Going into this last couple of weeks, I'm like, it feels like it's a lock for Jon Moxley is the rest of the year for AEW. But when you see performances like this, you kind of look back and it's like, you know what? Maybe Jericho actually is. Because maybe it's kind of more quiet, but he's had a very good year. And in terms of matches, when I'm just thinking about what were the best matches in AEW this year, I feel Jericho and Danielson might be the best match AEW did this year. So maybe Jericho is the rest of the year for AEW.
He might be. He's had a great year. A resurgence. Last year
Well,
he
we
was
keep
looking.
saying you keep saying that though. Like he won
Yeah,
the AEW title, resurgence.
yeah, but he kind of, he seemed like he was maybe slowing down at a certain point.
After he lost the title, yeah.
But he's really picked things back up this year. It's been a great year for Chris Jericho. He's in great shape. He's having great matches. He's really taken the ball for AEW and ran with it. Fantastic. We've got the Ruby Soho beating Tay Mello. What'd you think of that, John? I know you're a big Tay Mello fan.
I thought it was a very good match. Very intense. I feel like Ties needs to work a bit more on her forearms. They looked like they hurt, but not in a good way. Like they probably hurt, but they didn't look good. So just little things like that. But I like the intensity they both show back and forth. Thought they told a good story, and the whole thing about Ruby getting revenge in the end, that was fine. I don't think they needed to have Ruby get beat down afterwards by Anna Jay, but I guess it's just to tell us that it's not over yet. But that was a solid match. And the crowd was into it, which you don't really say that for a lot of the women's matches. So shows you how over the two of them are.
I guess it wasn't my favorite match of the night.
I guess you didn't like the match.
No, I didn't like it.
I thought it was a good match.
I like Jungle Boy and Brian Cage more. I thought that match was good. Jungle Boy got the win over Brian Cage with a roll-up. Solid match. And Brian Cage was a good opponent for Jungle Boy. They had good chemistry. It was a good matchup. I liked it.
Yeah, I feel they've wrestled each other before. It just seemed like they felt familiar with each other.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's happened in AEW more recent, or probably hasn't happened recently, but maybe early on, or they've probably wrestled each other on the indie scenes because it just felt like they knew each other in terms of where to be. And that's not a bad thing because, it translated into a very good match. And I feel that kind of match for Brian Cage is like almost perfect kind of match. Like to fight that underdog guy that, can give him a good fight.
But still does some cool flip moves, and Brian Cage can go along with them, It was
Of course, yeah, well, Darby Allin, Jungle Boy, Sammy Guevara, like all good matches for Cage.
Yeah, really good style matchup there for Brian Cage and for Jungle Boy. I thought Jungle Boy had a great performance too, looked like a star in this match. And then Jungle Boy called out Big Bill, Big Cass. Stokely Hathaway showed up, called Jungle Boy a hoe. And then Lee Moriarty and Big Bill attacked Jungle Boy. And they were beating him up for a bit until Hook Taz's son Hook made the save for Jungle Boy. So it seems like we have some sort of Hook and Jungle Boy alliance now teaming up against, I guess, Lee Moriarty and Big Bill. But it just looked odd to see Big Cass, all 7 feet tall of him, running away from that small, skinny kid in the hoodie.
Well, he didn't run away. Like Stokely tapped him and told him, like, we're heading out.
Okay. It just seemed odd to see that gigantic man run away from Hook, who, he's not the most imposing. Like Big Cass is gigantic, and then Hook comes out, and it's like, oh, who's that kid? And Big Bill is like, oh, no, I'm out of here. I don't know. It was weird. But I think Hook and Jungle Boy could be a cool team. Could be something there.
Well, I think what's really great is to see Hook finally on Dynamite. Like, I feel like he's been almost like a Rampage exclusive. So it's good to see him on the main show, and I think it's going to help him in terms of making him into a bigger star.
Yeah.
He needs to finally have matches with guys that are more than just Rampage exclusives.
And he's so over with the crowd, like, why not, right?
That's it. I mean, he's almost, he's a star on the rise right now. You might as well just make him one of your top stars.
Yeah, if you can go with it. Go with it as far as you can. Because people seem to love him.
Commentary.
Yeah,
it's going to help.
Yeah. Well, he's going to put him over for sure. And Taz doesn't put many people over, right? But he'll put Hook over.
Strong. Family, at least, yeah.
Yeah, he puts Ricky Starks over because they were together. The Acclaimed in Team Taz. They were in a wrestling group, not together in the, the Acclaimed did a rap promo, but then they got attacked from behind by Satnam Singh and Jay Lethal and Sanjay Dutt, and old Jeff Jarrett was there too, hitting Max Caster with the guitar and says, Caster, you can scissor this, slapnut. So that's a thing that's happening. Who gets them? It's Jeff Jarrett and Jay Lethal, I guess, against Caster and Bowens, the Acclaimed, for the tag belts at some point.
Right. Like, that's not going to make it all the way to the pay-per-view, but I can see it being on their big show in January. Or maybe just on a show randomly, too. Like, it's not that big of a match, I don't think, but it's just something for the Acclaim to do.
Still Jeff Jarrett. More Jeff Jarrett. Crazy.
Well, I mean, you have him, you might as well use him. Like, he's not bad to use. Like, you actually help put over a lot of guys, because he's still a name. People know who he is. You just don't need to make him your champion.
Blackpool Combat Club did a backstage promo about all the destruction they're going to do. Well, not the whole club. I mean, Regal's obviously gone, and Brian wasn't there.
Yeah.
It was Moxley, Claudio, and Wheeler. And Moxley said something about Hangman bringing his Dark Order friends. So maybe they're heading towards some sort of match between Hangman and Moxley, Hangman and some Dark Order guys, Hangman and Uno and Hungy against Moxley, Claudio, and Wheeler, possibly. They're doing something.
Yeah. Well, I think the whole, he said he was going to be on Rampage, right? So I think that's what he meant, bring your Dark Order friends. And Uno tried to stop Hangman from attacking Moxley on Rampage. It didn't work out. So I think that's what he's kind of referring to. Maybe they'll have a match one day, but I don't know if it's going to happen anytime soon right now. It feels like Moxley might need to take a week or two off for that year at least.
Yeah. Hangman did a decent interview backstage talking about getting knocked out and being confused and the experience there. Solid promo from Hangman on Dynamite this week.
I'm sure you felt like, if you were in that situation, that would be heartbreaking for you as well. So you almost can relate to him in a sense. I mean, you don't want to relate to him because if you were in that situation, you would feel terrible. But
are you talking about the part where he said he was knocked unconscious and he was so loopy when he woke up that he was showed a picture of his kid and he couldn't come up with the kid's name? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. And he was tearing up. It was emotional. You feel for Hangman. That's got to be devastating. So yeah. We'll see. Hangman and Moxley, I guess, at the pay-per-view.
Again, that's a long ways away. I don't know if you go all the way with that. And again, we'll see what happens with Moxley. I mean, I don't know if he's going to be on Dynamite this week. Let's, hopefully he doesn't have too much ear damage. That looked bad. I can understand the concerns that his wife is going through.
Yeah, I think he'll be all right. It's just the lower lobe, earlobe there. It's not that's a big deal.
No, but it got cut, a lot of blood, and he kept wrestling on it. You can do more damage with that. That's the problem.
I'm sure he'll be fine. House of Black returned to beat the Factory in a squash match. Pointless.
No, I honestly, this was the best way to do it. I don't know about you. I didn't want to see a full-blown match.
No.
Do the whole thing where they just destroy the guys on the outside, and QT's like, oh, I'm stuck. And yes, you are. Boom, finish. This was almost the perfect way to do it if you're going to do this match. This is exactly how it should go down.
Yeah, whatever. I'm not into it for either group. I'm just not so into it.
Well,
we'll see.
House of Black and the Elite, it's probably going to be next pay-per-view, I think.
For the trios belts?
I don't know if it'd be for the trio belts. I mean, House of Black, maybe they'll cost the Elite the titles, but I feel House of Black and the Elite, I believe that's the next big feud for the Elite.
I could see that. Why not House of Black versus Death Triangle?
I think we've done that already.
They have, right?
So, yeah, we don't need to redo stuff again.
I guess not. I just don't pay attention to what they do with the House of Black. John Angelo has been asking us what we think about New Day winning the NXT tag titles. What do you think?
Well, I was watching that takeover, or no, it's NXT Deadline. It's not takeover anymore.
Okay.
And I was really not enjoying it. Like, it started off bad. I got a bit better, but that Survivor thing they did with the women, that wasn't great. And then they had that match with Ava Fire against Isla Dawn. Isla Dawn?
I don't know. I don't know
is.
who any of these people are.
Okay. Anyways, they did this thing where because she touched the referee's leg, he started doing the whole like black vomit thing. Remember like how Randy Orton would do?
Yeah, Papa Shango style.
Yeah. So,
Ugh.
just weird stuff like that they did. And I was just like, well, this sucks. So I wasn't really, by the time it got to New Day, I wasn't really paying attention too much. But, it's nice for New Day to get that. It's good for them to change things up a little bit.
Yeah.
Nice little Eddie Guerrero spot they did. That was nice. But I'm not like dying to see NXT for New Day. It's good for them to do something because they weren't doing anything, but like it's not the greatest thing in the world. Like the fact that you went down to NXT to win the tag team titles, it's not being like, oh, I can't wait to watch NXT now because of that.
Yeah.
And like
it's not gonna make me tune into NXT. It isn't some great accomplishment, but it is something fresh and new and different for the New Day, and it's just another championship that they could add to their resume. They've never been NXT Tag Team Champions, so now they have been.
The problem is with NXT title reigns, though, like they've taken those away from a lot of people's resumes, though. Like when they say Charlotte's like a whatever time champion, they don't count the NXT title reigns anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, it's nice that you won them, but they kind of don't matter in the grand scheme of things. So it's like, well, New Day wasn't doing anything, so it's fine. But this isn't that big of a deal to win the tag team titles because, like, on the main roster, they don't acknowledge them.
Yeah. I mean, like we said, it's not a huge deal. It's just something else.
Well, it's kind of too bad because, like, if you think about it, New Day, you were hoping, like, Xavier, they'd push him towards the WWE title. It's one of the few guys that actually has a victory over Roman in the last, couple of years. And they did nothing. They totally screwed that up. Like, they killed his king gimmick and everything. Like, he's not going for the WWE title. Sorry. And, like, Kofi as well, like, he's miles away from being WWE champ. I don't think he'll ever be WWE champion again as well. So sorry about that as well. It's just not going to happen.
They clearly have no big plans for them to do anything big again. At least not in the near future. Hopefully Big E can come back at some point. Would be nice.
They kind of need it.
He's doing well.
To do something huge with them, like they actually need to be a complete group again.
Yeah. Poor guy. All right, Johnny. I know you're going to be back in the ring sooner rather than later. When can people see you?
Pretty sure it's going to be January 22nd. It'll be in Laval again. But that's not 100% confirmed yet, so keep up to date with Wrestling Uncensored every week, and we'll keep you updated when we know.
That's right. So definitely keep watching the show here. I feel like we have some announcements. Happy Hanukkah to everybody. Coming up Sunday night, the first night of Hanukkah. So happy Hanukkah to all of my friends. It's going to be a great celebration. Have a great time. Enjoy the Festival of Lights. Have a great Hanukkah. Have some good latkes.
Watch Adam Sandler movies.
That's not really something that is traditional that you do. But if you want to do that, John, to celebrate for yourself, you can go ahead and do that.
8 Crazy Nights. Like, you don't remember that one?
I've never seen it, I don't think. Maybe I have.
Wow.
I don't know. I may have seen it. I'm not sure. But sure, do whatever you want to do for Hanukkah. However you celebrate Hanukkah, you can do that. It's totally cool. Just celebrate Hanukkah. Have a good time. 8 nights of celebration coming up starting on Sunday night. So looking forward to that. And a big happy birthday to my dad. It's going to be his birthday in like a minute officially. So happy birthday to him. His birthday on Saturday. So big happy birthday to my dad. Big part of the show. Big supporter. Big friend. Big guy. He's the man. Happy birthday. And, that's it.
A lot because of him.
That's it. 100%. The show wouldn't be this show without my dad, so thank you to him for everything he does, and big happy birthday.
We forgot. We shouldn't have said this for the end. We should have done this earlier, but we forgot about the AEW sign.
Oh. Okay. Yeah, there was a sign on Dynamite that said, Zelda is better than Mario.
And I'm like, that's fantastic.
John agrees with that. I disagree. I'm more Mario. John's more Zelda. What else do you want to say about it? I think Mario games are better. There would be no Zelda if it was not for Mario. He's the original character. He's the man. Don't mess with Mario.
I just feel like you have to admit, when it got to like Sunshine, Mario started to decline quite a bit. It wasn't the same.
No, but, I mean, Super Mario World is such a classic game that, Mario can do no wrong. Mario Odyssey's great, all the Mario spin-offs, but, I mean, just the original Mario game. Mario 1 on NES, Mario 3 on NES, Super Mario World on SNES, even Mario 64 is a pretty good game. Mario Odyssey I like a lot. They're good games. Mario's the man.
Yeah, but you look at Zelda, and a lot of people say like the best NES game was the first Zelda.
I disagree.
Super NES. Okay, but a lot of people feel Super NES, Link to the Past, not only the best Super NES game, but one of the best games of all time.
It's a good game, but I like Super Mario World more. I'm just a Mario guy. More than Zelda. I like the style of play in Mario games better than Zelda. It's what I like.
Ocarina of Time was like 10 on 10, like the perfect game. I mean, Super Mario 64 was good for a launch title, but
maybe critically, Zelda is more well-reviewed, and people like Zelda more on a critical basis, and that's all fine. And maybe more people in the world think Zelda is better than Mario. That may be true. Doesn't mean it's true for me. I don't feel that way. I like Mario games better, and there's nothing you could do to stop me. Because there's action in Mario games. You're always moving. You're always doing something. You could pick it up and play. Zelda, you got to figure out what the hell you're doing. You got to do a bunch of reading, watch a bunch of boring cutscenes with a bunch of lame nerd stuff. It's boring. Zelda's for nerds. Mario is fun. If you like Zelda more than Mario, chances are you're a nerd. John. I'm right, too. Zelda's more like, it's more boring, It's like, oh, figure out how to do this and make a potion and do the. Mario's like, jump on that guy. Make that jump. Now keep going. Now run. Now jump again. Zelda's like, ooh, read this. Read this again. Now read this. Now try to figure out what the hell it means. It's like, now play a flute. It's like, what? Play a flute? Mario's like, ride that dragon. Shoot fire. Fly. Shoot fire again. Tremendous. Eat the mushroom. Don't eat that mushroom.
There's not really a lot of, in terms of logic, in terms of storytelling for Mario. It's just more of like,
fun.
Go from one point to the next.
Yeah, it's what a video game's supposed to be. Fun, not reading.
Not reading. Reading's terrible for people. They should never read.
Not when I'm trying to play games. When I want to play games, I want to play games. I'm not trying to read. Anyways, we could debate Mario versus Zelda all day.
We could, but they've done that with Mario as well. Mario had a lot of reading as well in a couple of games.
Yeah, well, that's why I don't play those Mario RPG games, because I'm not interested in reading.
I have to say, the Paper Mario games are one of the better ones.
Not interested. All right. Thank you, Angelo.
This is the problem with Mario.
Happy Hanukkah to you, Angelo. He's been a member for 22 months. Thank you, Angelo, for supporting the Ringside Report Network. Thank you, everybody, for supporting the Ringside Report Network. Thank you to everybody tuning in here live tonight. All the members, Angelo Contagonis, Silent by Deadly, and everybody else supporting the Ringside Report Network. We do appreciate you. If you have not joined up, support the Ringside Report Network for just $5 a month. Join.ringsidereport.net. Join.ringsidereport.net or donate.ringsidereport.net and subscribe. If you have not subscribed already, we do appreciate you just subscribing. It costs you nothing, and it helps us tremendously. Happy Hanukkah to everybody. We love you. Mario is number one. It's a me, Mario. I'll be back here.
You can all leave a comment saying which one you think is better. I think Zelda will win in the end. But...
Leave a comment, Mario or Zelda, and then we'll see next week who has won. Leave a comment under this video, Mario or Zelda. Just one word. Mario, if you think Mario is better. Zelda, if you like Zelda. Are you on Team Dave with a Mario? Or are you on Team John with Link?
It's more about preference.
Zelda. Whatever. I'll be back next Thursday night, 8 p.m. for Ringside Report MMA. Johnny and I will be back next Friday night, 10 p.m. for more Wrestling Uncensored on a special Festivus edition where we will be airing our grievances next Friday night, right here on the Ringside Report Network.
Please join in and give your support to Ringside Report Network. We've been providing expert coverage and commentary on both pro wrestling and MMA for over 15 years. Go to ringsidereport.net/support to find out more ways to support the channel.